President Biden arrived in Normandy, France, appearing incredibly confused, Roombang his way to a memorial for the veterans of D-Day alongside French President Macron, but then appeared to do something on stage.
Please welcome the Honorable Lloyd J. Austin.
Later shuffling away while Macron was left to greet the veterans. Now, news outlets were covering his sudden shift, squatting on stage, and Twitter straight up trended going #2 alongside tweets for the president. Now, I'm no fan of Biden, but I'm equally not a fan of media manipulation for the sake of political points, especially when you don't even need to do it, as the clip of the president squatting was apparently Biden trying to find his chair, and his scurrying off was only seconds before the French president also walked off the stage. So did the president soil himself in his suit? I'm sure if he did, nobody would even know. But cropping a couple clips of him finding his chair and shuffling his feet to make it look like he had a little leak just seems unnecessary, when it already looked terrible as it was, as this man has seemingly no idea of where he is. And wasn't the first time he did it this week.
Are you gonna go that way?
You go that way, I'll go this way. She's going that way, I'm going this way. You're out of luck.
The only thing more pathetic than how simply leaving a stage confuses him is how some of his supporters are shouting woo when he does it. But the longer the Democrats choose to ignore this, the more content Trump has for his campaigns, as the Republicans can cut together entire commercials for Trump without actually recording a single word themselves. And the sad part is, the gaffes are probably the least of their worries, because as the election nears, the economy is continuing to collapse, the backlash over his open borders is now becoming unignorable, and the threat of World War III is so realistic that the draft is actually being considered in congressional bills in 2025 that oddly refer to automatically registering every male citizen from age 18 to 26 for the Selective Service, but every other male person residing in the US. Which makes the whole ignoring the pouring of military-age males through our borders actually makes sense now, as reports of Biden quietly allowing our weapons to be used on Russian territory is now something he openly admits now.
Are American weapons being used right now inside Russia?
They're authorized to be used in proximity to the border. We're not authorizing strikes 200 miles into Russia. We're not authorizing strikes on Moscow, on the Kremlin.
Even though Russia had previously warned us of retaliation if this was allowed, as we're now seeing plans on how US soldiers could actually be sent to the front line. And speaking of European invasions, D-Day wasn't the last time they've seen beach landings from foreign forces, as this is currently occurring all across Europe, and has more recently begun in California as well. So as the 2024 presidential election nears, Biden has finally decided to do something about it.
Today I'm announcing actions to bar migrants who cross our southern border unlawfully from receiving asylum.
And as they convict Trump of frivolous felonies in deep blue New York City, it keeps backfiring, as it's only made him more popular and raised him over $200 million in 3 days, to which certain search engines don't want you to know about for mysterious purposes, as his other court cases are now being paused in appeals. But the Biden administration wants to scare you with the idea that Trump will jail his political opponents, as apparently it's only cool when they do it, as it's a threat to democracy to use the justice system against the other party's leaders. And I actually agree. Real democratic countries don't play by the rules of Game of Thrones, where you win or you get locked in their cellars for losing, which is more telling of how they see their own situation than anything, because nobody jails the opposition unless they were actually afraid of them, as these convictions conveniently came when Trump began pulling away in the polls, which did absolutely nothing for Biden's approval ratings. So coincidentally, the media seems to be prepping us for more mass lockdowns just in time for November, and although I say it half jokingly, it's starting to sound like they're laying the same groundwork we saw last election. So if you appreciate my concise, light-order commentary on the tragic status that is today's reality, hopefully I've earned your subscription, then go check out the video on why Biden looks like an entirely different person in clips posted on the same day.